Hana Kim stood at the entrance of the massive training facility and took a deep breath. The air smelled different here on planet Varathis 7. It was cleaner than Earth's air, but also strange. She could smell something wild in it, something that reminded her of forests and animals. She was nervous. Who wouldn't be? She was the first human ever sent to train with the Galactic Federation's elite forces. Around her, creatures from dozens of different planets walked past. Some had scales, some had feathers, and some had fur. They all stared at her as they passed. Their eyes were curious, suspicious, or sometimes both. Hana wore her Earth military uniform with pride. The badge on her shoulder showed the symbol of Earth's Special Operations Command. She had worked hard to earn that badge. Years of training, countless missions, and more sleepless nights than she could count. But now she wondered if any of that mattered. These aliens had been fighting wars for thousands of years before humans even discovered fire. Lieutenant Kim, a voice spoke through her communication device. It was Admiral Minho Kang, her mentor back on Earth. "How are you holding up?" "I'm fine, sir," Hana replied quietly. "Just taking it all in." "Remember what I told you," the Admiral said. His voice was warm and encouraging. "You're not there to prove humans are better than anyone else. You're there to learn and to show them who we are. Be yourself, Hana. That's all you need to do." "Yes, sir. Thank you, sir." The communication ended and Hana walked forward into the facility. The buildings were enormous, designed to accommodate species of all different sizes. Through large windows, she could see training grounds that stretched for miles. In the distance, she heard sounds of combat practice, roars, shouts, and the clash of weapons. A tall alien with blue skin and 4 arms approached her. "Lieutenant Kim, I am your orientation officer. Follow me, please. You will observe today's drills before your own assessment begins." Hana followed the officer through wide corridors. Other aliens stopped to watch her pass. She heard whispers in languages she couldn't understand. Her translation device worked, but it had trouble keeping up with so many different voices at once. They entered a massive outdoor training ground. The field was the size of 10 football stadiums. Different groups of aliens practiced combat techniques. Some flew through the air, some crawled along the ground, and some moved so fast they were just blurs. But Hana's attention was caught by one group in particular. They looked like wolves, not exactly like Earth wolves, but close enough that her heart recognized them instantly. They stood on 2 legs like humans, but had thick fur covering their bodies. Their faces were long with sharp teeth, and their eyes glowed with intelligence. They moved with the grace and power of natural predators. "Those are the Velkari," the orientation officer explained. "They are among our finest warriors. Very dangerous in combat, very loyal to their pack. They do not trust outsiders easily." Hana watched the Velkari train. They moved as one unit, anticipating each other's movements perfectly. It was beautiful to watch. Near the edge of their training area, she noticed something unusual. 3 small Velkari sat watching their elders practice. They were cubs, probably the equivalent of human children aged 6 or 7. "They bring their young?" Hana asked. "It is Velkari tradition," the officer answered. "Cubs learn by watching. They are never in danger and they never interfere. They sit quietly and observe." "It has been this way for thousands of years," Hana nodded. It made sense. Many Earth cultures taught children the same way. "You will begin your assessment now," the officer said. "Enter the training ground. Show us what humans can do." Hana's heart pounded. This was it. Her first test. She walked onto the training field. Very aware that hundreds of eyes were watching her, she moved to an empty section of the field and began her warm-up routine. Simple exercises, stretches, body weight movements, basic combat forms. She tried to focus on her movements and ignore the watchers. She breathed slowly and let her training take over. This was what she knew. This was what she was good at. Then she heard something that made her pause. Small feet running. Fast and light, coming toward her. Hana turned and her eyes went wide with surprise. The 3 Velkari cubs were running straight at her. They had left their watching spot and were racing across the training ground. Their small legs moved as fast as they could. Their tails wagged behind them. They made high-pitched sounds that her translator couldn't quite interpret, but that sounded like excitement, like joy. The entire training ground went silent. Every alien stopped what they were doing and stared. The adult Velkari warriors stood frozen in shock. Even the orientation officer beside Hana made a sound of complete disbelief. The cubs reached Hana and immediately began circling her legs. They jumped up, trying to reach her hands. They made more excited sounds. The boldest one, slightly larger than the others, managed to grab Hana's hand with its small paws and tried to pull her down to their level. Hana didn't know what to do. She looked at the adult Velkari, hoping for guidance. Their faces showed pure shock. One of them, a large male with silver streaks in his dark fur, took a step forward. His mouth hung open. His eyes were wide. "This is impossible," someone whispered nearby. Hana slowly knelt down. The cubs immediately pressed against her, still making happy sounds. She carefully placed her hands on their heads the way she might pet a dog back on Earth. Their fur was soft and warm. They pushed into her touch, clearly enjoying it. "I'm sorry," Hana said loudly, looking at the adult Velkari. "I don't know why they—" "No." The silver-streaked male stepped forward. He spoke in a deep, growling voice, but her translator worked perfectly. "Do not apologize. What you must understand is, this has never happened. Never in all of our recorded history. Our cubs do not approach outsiders. They barely approach adults from other packs. They certainly never approach aliens. And yet—" He stared at Hana and the 3 cubs who were now sitting calmly beside her, leaning against her legs. "What is your name?" the male asked. "Lieutenant Hana Kim, sir, Earth Special Operations." "I am Commander Daewon Cho, and I think, Lieutenant Kim, that you have just done something that will change the galaxy." Hana looked down at the cubs. The smallest one looked up at her with huge, trusting eyes. She felt something warm spread through her chest. It was a feeling she recognized. It was the same feeling she got when she looked at dogs, cats, or any animal back home that trusted her. Maybe, she thought, some things really were universal. Maybe trust and connection could exist between any creatures who were willing to try. The cubs stayed by her side for the rest of the day. Nobody could convince them to leave. And as word spread through the facility about what had happened, Hana Kim became the most talked-about being on Varathis 7. Her real test, she knew, was just beginning. The next morning, Hana woke up to find her room surrounded by guards. Not human guards, Velkari warriors stood outside her door. When she opened it, Commander Daewon stood there with his arms crossed. "Am I in trouble?" Hana asked carefully. "No," Daewon said. "But the cubs refused to sleep last night unless they knew where you were staying. Their parents are concerned and confused, and so is everyone else in this facility." Hana rubbed her face. She hadn't slept well either. "I didn't do anything to them. I promise. We know. That is what makes this so strange." Daewon stepped aside. "You have been summoned. The Federation Council wants answers." The meeting room was full of important-looking aliens. Military officers, scientists, and council members from different species all sat around a huge table. Hana sat in a chair that was too big for her, feeling very small. A being with tentacles and multiple eyes spoke first. "Lieutenant Kim, we need to understand what happened yesterday. Did you use any technology on the cubs? Any chemicals? Any mental manipulation?" "No," Hana said firmly. "I just entered the training ground. They ran to me. I didn't call them or do anything to attract them." "But that's impossible," another alien said. This one looked like a giant insect. "Velkari cubs have a genetic fear of unknown species. It keeps them safe. They should have hidden from you, not run toward you." An older Velkari female stood up. She had scars across her face and looked very serious. "I am Elder Sunhee, pack leader of the Velkari delegation. I have seen many strange things in my long life, but never this. My grandson was one of those cubs. Jihi. He is usually the most cautious of his litter, yet he led the charge toward you." Hana thought carefully about her words. "On Earth, we have animals that are similar to your people. We call them wolves. Long ago, humans and wolves learned to live together. The wolves became our companions. We call them dogs now. Over thousands of years, we learned to understand each other." "You domesticated predators?" someone asked in shock. "We became friends with them," Hana corrected. "We didn't make them less than they were. We just learned to trust each other. Maybe I carry something from that history. Maybe your cubs sensed something familiar in me." A human woman at the table nodded. She had been quiet until now. "My name is Dr. Unji Park. I'm a xenobiologist from Earth. I would like permission to study this phenomenon." The council talked among themselves for a long time. Finally, they agreed. Hana would continue her training, but Dr. Park would run tests and observations. The cubs would be watched carefully to make sure they were safe. For the next week, Hana's life became very strange. Everywhere she went, the three cubs tried to follow her. Their names were Jihye, Hyunwoo, and Sora. Jihye was the bold leader. Hyunwoo was careful and thoughtful. Sora was the smallest but never backed down from anything. Dr. Park ran many tests. She measured Hana's body temperature, her scent, her brain waves. She recorded how Hana moved and spoke. She even had Hana interact with other predator species to see if they reacted the same way. "This is fascinating," Yoonji said one evening, showing Hana her data. "Humans produce a unique combination of pheromones. When you're calm and confident, you send out signals that predator species interpret as safe pack leader. It's not manipulation. It's communication on a level below conscious thought." "Why do humans have this?" Hana asked. "Evolution," Yoonji explained. "Our ancestors on Earth didn't have claws or fangs or armor. We survived by making friends with animals who did. We learned to read their body language. We learned to send the right signals. Over time, our bodies adapted. We became very good at forming bonds with predators. So I'm not special," Hana said quietly. "Any human could do this." "Yes and no," Yoonji replied. "Any human has the potential, but you've trained your whole life to stay calm under pressure, to lead others, to protect those who depend on you. You're very good at being exactly what these cubs' instincts are looking for." 2 weeks after the incident, something happened that proved how important this all was. During a training exercise, alarms suddenly blared through the facility. The automated systems had malfunctioned. A training reactor that simulated starship engines was overheating. If it exploded, it would kill everyone in the building. Panic spread immediately. Different species started running in different directions. Some flew toward the exits. Some tried to dig into the ground. Some froze in fear. The training facility dissolved into chaos. Hana saw Commander Daewon trying to organize his warriors, but even the disciplined Velkari were confused. Other officers shouted orders that contradicted each other. Everyone was terrified, and there, in the middle of the chaos, Hana saw the three cubs. They were frozen in fear, pressed against a wall. Their parents were somewhere else in the facility. They were alone and terrified. Something clicked in Hana's mind. All her training, all her experience came together in one moment of perfect clarity. "Everyone stop," she shouted. Her voice cut through the noise. To her surprise, people actually stopped. They turned to look at her. Species with wings, fly to the upper levels and guide people down the emergency stairs. Species who can carry others, help those who are injured or too small. Everyone else, form lines at the exits. Fast movers go last, slow movers go first. "Move now." Her voice was calm but absolutely commanding. She didn't sound scared. She sounded like someone who knew exactly what to do. The chaos organized itself. The flying species took their positions. The strong ones started helping the weak. Lines formed at the exits. Hana ran to the cubs. She scooped up Sora, who was smallest. "Jihye, Hyunwoo, stay close to me. We're getting out together." They followed her without question, pressing against her legs as she moved toward the nearest exit. Other people saw her and followed. She had become a center of calm in the storm. Commander Daewon appeared beside her. "The reactor is on the lower levels. Someone needs to activate the emergency shutdown manually." "I'll go," Hana said immediately. "No," Daewon growled. "You need to keep people calm up here. I can see what you're doing. You're holding everything together. I'll handle the reactor." He ran off before she could argue. Hana continued guiding people to safety, the cubs never leaving her side. She helped a large creature who was too scared to move. She calmed down a group of flying aliens who were panicking. She found lost children from different species and reunited them with their parents. The building shook. The reactor was getting worse, then finally the alarm stopped. The emergency light switched to normal. Commander Daewon's voice came over the speakers. "Reactor shut down. Crisis over. Everyone stay calm and continue evacuating in an orderly fashion." When everyone was finally safe outside, Hana sat down on the ground. Her legs were shaking. The three cubs immediately piled onto her lap, making soft, comforting sounds. Elder Sunhee approached her. The old Velkari looked at Hana for a long moment. Then she did something Hana didn't expect. She bowed her head. "You protected my grandson. You protected all of our cubs. You kept everyone safe when trained officers lost their heads." Sunhee's voice was thick with emotion. "The cubs were right about you from the beginning. They saw what we could not." Commander Daewon walked up, covered in soot but unhurt. He looked at Hana sitting there with the cubs in her lap. He looked at his pack members who were all watching her with new respect. Then he smiled, showing his sharp teeth. "I think," he said slowly, "that we need to change how we think about humans." News of what Hana did during the reactor crisis spread across the entire facility within hours. By the next day, it had reached the Galactic Federation headquarters. By the end of the week, every world in the Federation knew the story of the human who saved hundreds of lives and earned the trust of Velkari cubs. Hana's life changed completely. The Velkari officially requested that she be assigned to train with their units. This was unprecedented. They never trained with outsiders. But Elder Sunhee herself made the request, and no one could refuse the respected pack leader. More surprising were the others who came forward. The Talonhawks, a species of bird-like warriors who ruled the skies, sent their captain to meet with Hana. Captain Nari Song had feathers that shimmered blue and gold in the light. Her eyes were sharp and intelligent. "I watched what you did during the crisis," Nari said, her voice like wind through trees. "You thought in 3 dimensions. You used flying species for what we do best while understanding ground species needs. Most commanders forget we exist, or they ask us to do things that make no sense for wings. I want to learn how you think." A few days later, a massive shape appeared in Hana's doorway. Young-Ho Lee was a Frostmane warrior, one of the bear-like species from an ice planet. He stood 3 meters tall and his white fur was thick enough to survive Arctic storms. When he spoke, his voice rumbled like an avalanche. "Small human," he said. "You did not panic when Big Warrior was scared. You did not run when others ran. Young-Ho respects this. Young-Ho will train with you." Hana felt overwhelmed but honored. She was being accepted by some of the galaxy's most dangerous warriors. Not because she was strong, many were stronger. Not because she was fast, many were faster. But because she could think clearly when others panicked, and because she could help different species work together. Commander Daewon became her closest ally. He taught her about Velkari culture, their history, their way of seeing the world. In return, she taught him about Earth's military history and how humans had learned to fight together despite their differences. On Earth, Hana explained one day as they walked through the training grounds, humans spent thousands of years fighting each other. We have different skin colors, different languages, different beliefs. We should have destroyed ourselves, but somehow we learned that working together made us stronger. Daewon listened carefully. "Your species is very young. Most races don't learn that lesson until they've been traveling space for centuries. Humans learned it while still on their birth world. That is unusual." The 3 cubs, Jihi, Hyunwoo, and Sora, were never far from Hana now. Their parents had accepted it, though they still didn't fully understand it. The cubs learned by watching Hana train, just as they learned by watching their own people. Hana started teaching mixed species combat units. This was her new assignment, approved by the Federation Council. The idea was revolutionary. Instead of each species training separately and then trying to work together later, why not train together from the start? Her first class was Chaos. The Velkari wanted to charge directly at enemies. The Talonhawks wanted to scout from above. The Frostmanes wanted to hold defensive positions. A species of quick, small aliens called the Nexari wanted to use stealth. Everyone argued about the best approach. Hana let them argue for a while. Then she spoke. "You're all right," she said simply. "Each species should do what they do best. The Velkari charge, but not until the Talonhawks tell them where the enemy is weakest. The Frostmanes hold important ground, but the Nexari sneak around the sides. Everyone has a role. Nobody is more important than anyone else." "But who leads?" demanded a Velkari warrior. "We all lead," Hana replied. "Each species leads in their area of strength. I just help you communicate with each other." It was a simple idea, but no one had tried it before. In the Federation, military doctrine was rigid. Each species fought their own way, and coordination happened at high command levels, not on the battlefield. Hana's way was different. She taught them to trust each other's instincts. She taught them hand signals that worked across species barriers. She taught them to think of the whole team, not just their own pack or flock or clan. It worked surprisingly well. 2 months after the reactor crisis, Hana's mixed unit faced their first real test. During a field training exercise in the mountains, they encountered actual hostile forces, raiders from the Drev Consortium, criminals who attacked Federation outposts. The raiders thought they had found easy prey, a training unit of young warriors. They were wrong. Captain Nari and her Talon Hawk spotted the raiders first. She sent signals to Hana, who was on the ground with the Valkyrie. Hana immediately positioned her forces. Young-ho, she called to the Frostmane. Take your team and block the northern pass. Don't let anyone escape that way. Nexari scouts, she spoke into her communicator. I need to know how many enemies and where their weapons are. Valkyrie pack, she looked at Commander Daewon, who stood beside her. We hit them from the east. Nari will strike from above at my signal. It was like conducting an orchestra. Every species played their part perfectly. The Nexari scouts provided information. The Talonhawks waited above, silent and invisible. The Frostmanes blocked the escape route. And when Hana gave the signal, the Valkyrie charged with her running beside them. The raiders never had a chance. They were used to fighting enemies who all thought the same way. They had no defense against a coordinated attack from land, air, and shadow all at once. The battle was over in minutes. No one in Hana's unit was seriously injured. The raiders were captured and secured. Commander Daewon stood among the prisoners, breathing hard from the fight. He looked at Hana with an expression she had seen on wolf faces back on Earth. Respect, trust, loyalty. I felt something during that battle, he said quietly, so only she could hear. My people have an old word for it. Pack call. It is what we feel when we know we are following the right leader into danger. I have only felt it a few times in my life, always with other Valkyrie. Never with an alien. He paused, choosing his words carefully. The cubs knew before any of us. They recognized what our adult minds tried to deny. You are not just a warrior, Hana Kim. You are what my people would call a true pack leader. Hana didn't know what to say. She looked around at the mixed species unit. Valkyrie, Talonhawks, Frostmanes, Nexari, and even a few other species who had joined them. They were all watching her with trust and respect. The three cubs pushed through the crowd. Jihi reached her first, followed by Hyunwoo and Sora. They pressed against her legs, making their happy sounds. The other warriors smiled, some with teeth, some with beaks, some in ways Hana was still learning to read. We did good work today, Hana said to all of them. Every single one of you. Because we work together, that's what makes us strong. Captain Nari landed gracefully nearby, folding her wings. The Federation command is going to hear about this. They're going to want to know how a training unit defeated experienced raiders. Young-ho laughed, a sound like thunder. Let them come see. Young-ho will tell them, we followed small human. Small human thinks big. As the sun set over the training facility, Hana realized something important. She wasn't just training warriors anymore. She was helping build something new, a way for different species to truly understand and trust each other. And it was working. The galaxy, she thought, was about to change in ways no one expected. 3 months after Hana arrived at Varathis 7, everything seemed perfect. Her mixed species training program was a huge success. Young warriors from across the galaxy were learning to fight together in ways no one had thought possible. The 3 Valkyrie cubs were growing bigger and stronger, and they still followed Hana everywhere. Then the warnings started coming. It began with small things. Scout ships reported unusual activity near the facility. Trading vessels went missing. Pirates and raiders who normally avoided Federation space were getting bolder. Commander Daewon brought the intelligence reports to Hana one evening. His face was serious, ears laid back in concern. The Drev Consortium is moving forces toward this sector, he said. They're not just random raiders anymore. They're organizing. Building an army. Hana studied the reports. The Drev Consortium was a collection of criminals, outcasts, and mercenaries from dozens of species. They had been a minor annoyance for years, but something had changed. Why would they come here? Hana asked. This is just a training facility. That's exactly why, Captain Nari said, landing nearby. She had been listening. Think about it. We have hundreds of young warriors here, many from important families. We have advanced military technology. We have ships, and most importantly, we're not heavily defended because everyone thinks no one would dare attack a Federation facility. Young-ho joined them, his massive form blocking out the sun. Young-ho thinks Birdfriend is right. We are fat prey. We look weak. We are not expecting attack. Hana felt cold despite the warm air. We need to contact Federation Command. Get reinforcements. Already done, Daewon said grimly. Admiral Minho Kang is bringing Earth's fleet. But they're 3 weeks away. The closest Federation forces are 2 weeks away. The Drev could be here in days. The facility's commander, a dignified alien named Colonel Minji Choi, called an emergency meeting. She was a member of a species called the Valorians, tall, thin beings with silver skin and 3 fingers on each hand. "We have 3 choices," Minji said to the assembled officers. "We evacuate all personnel and abandon the facility. We stay and defend with what we have, or we send the trainees away and only keep essential staff. If we run, the Drev will chase us," Captain Nari pointed out. "Our transport ships are slow and full of civilians. They'll pick us off one by one in space. If we send the trainees away, we won't have enough fighters to defend the facility," another officer added. Hana had been quiet, thinking. Now she spoke up. "What if we stay and fight with what we have?" The room went silent. Everyone turned to look at her. "These are trainees," Minji said gently. "Most have never seen real combat. The Drev are hardened killers. It would be a massacre, would it?" Hana stood up. "These trainees have been learning to fight together across species lines. They're young, yes, but they're motivated. They're defending their home. And they have something the Drev don't have." "What's that?" someone asked. "They trust each other," Hana said simply. "The Drev are criminals working together because they want money or power. Our people fight for each other. That makes all the difference." Commander Daewon stood beside her. "Hana is right. I've watched these young warriors train. I've seen what they can do when they work together. If we use the facility's training environments as our battlefield, if we plan carefully, we can win this." "It's too dangerous," Minji insisted. "I can't ask children to fight killers." "You're not asking," Elder Sun he said, entering the room. Behind her came dozens of Velkari warriors, both young and old. "They're volunteering. My people do not run from threats. We face them." Captain Nari spread her wings. "The Talonhawks also volunteer. This is our home now, too." Youngho growled his agreement. "Frostmane's not afraid. We fight." One by one, representatives from every species in the facility stepped forward. The trainees, who should have been terrified, instead looked determined. They had trained together. They had become something more than just warriors from different worlds. They had become a team. Minji looked around the room. Finally, she nodded. "Very well. We defend Varathis 7. Hana, you'll coordinate the defense. I'm officially promoting you to field commander." The next few days were intense. Hana worked with officers from every species to create a defense plan. The training facility had been built to simulate dozens of different combat environments. Now those simulations would become real battlefields. The forest training area would be perfect for Velkari ambush tactics. The mountain ranges would give Talonhawks the height advantage. The Arctic simulator would be Frostmane territory. The urban combat zone would let quick, small species use stealth. Hana divided the defenders into mixed units, each one positioned to use the terrain that favored their strengths. She set up communication networks so everyone could coordinate. She planned fallback positions and escape routes. But there was one problem that kept her awake at night. The cubs, Jajihye, Hyunwoo, and Sora had grown much bigger in 3 months. But they were still too young to fight. Daewon wanted to send them away on the last transport ship leaving the facility, but the cubs refused. They refused so completely that they had to be physically restrained. "They won't leave you," Daewon told Hana sadly. "We tried everything. They become so distressed when separated from you that it's harmful to them. I've never seen anything like it." Hana felt torn. She wanted the cubs safe, but forcing them onto a ship felt cruel. Finally, she made a decision. "There's a secure bunker under the command center," she said. "Deep underground. Heavily armored. If the battle goes badly, that's where we'll make our last stand anyway. The cubs stay there with a guard unit. They'll be as safe as anyone can be." It wasn't a perfect solution, but it was the best they had. The cubs seemed to accept it as long as they knew where Hana would be. On the final night before the expected attack, Hana couldn't sleep. She walked through the quiet facility, seeing young warriors preparing for battle. They cleaned weapons, checked equipment, and said prayers in dozens of different languages. She found the 3 cubs in their bunker, sleeping in a pile. She sat down beside them, and they immediately woke up and climbed onto her lap, like they used to when they were smaller. "I'm going to keep you safe," she whispered to them. "I promise." Jae looked up at her with intelligent eyes. He couldn't speak her language yet, but she felt like he understood. Admiral Minho Kang's face appeared on her communication device. "Hana," he said seriously, "the Drev fleet was spotted 4 hours away. We're still 2 weeks out. I'm sorry. I wish we could be there. We'll hold them off, Hana said with more confidence than she felt. I know you will, the Admiral replied. You've already done the impossible so many times. What's one more miracle? As the first hints of dawn appeared on the horizon, alarms began to sound. The enemy fleet had arrived. The battle for Vorathis 7 was about to begin. Hana stood up, gently moving the cubs aside. She put on her combat armor and checked her weapons. Around the facility, hundreds of young warriors did the same. They were scared. She was scared, but they were ready. All units. She spoke into the command channel. This is Commander Kim. Remember your training. Trust your teammates. Watch each other's backs. Today we show the galaxy what we can do when we stand together. Today we protect our home. The first enemy ships began landing. The battle had begun. The Drev consortium came in force. Dozens of warships filled the sky, blocking out the sun. Hundreds of enemy soldiers poured out of landing craft. They had weapons, armor, and years of combat experience. They expected an easy victory. They were wrong. The first wave of Drev soldiers landed in the forest training area. They spread out, confident and careless. Then the forest came alive. Velkari warriors dropped from the trees. They had been hiding there for hours, waiting. Commander Daewin led the charge with a roar that shook the leaves. The young Velkari followed their pack leader without hesitation, using every ambush technique they had learned. The Drev panicked. They had expected to face an organized defense line, not invisible predators attacking from all directions. Within minutes, the first wave was scattered and retreating. Phase 1 successful, Daewin reported to Hana. Forest is ours. In the sky above, Captain Nari led her Talon Hawks in a dance of death. The Drev had fighter craft, but they flew in predictable patterns. The Hawks flew like the wind itself, unpredictable, swift, and deadly. They dove from the sun, struck hard, and vanished into the clouds before the enemy could respond. Sky units performing well. Nari's voice came through clearly. Enemy air support is confused. We're keeping them busy. The mountain ranges became a nightmare for the second Drev wave. Young-ho and his Frostmanes held the high ground. Their white fur made them nearly invisible against the snowy peaks. When the enemy tried to climb, huge warriors appeared and sent them tumbling back down. The Frostmanes didn't need to kill many enemies. Just holding the passes was enough. Mountain defenses holding strong, Young-ho reported. Enemies not getting through. Young-ho smashed 3 already. Hana coordinated everything from the command center. Multiple screens showed different battles happening simultaneously. She directed units where they were needed most, called for backup when one area got overwhelmed, and kept everyone informed about the bigger picture. Nixari team, the enemy is trying to flank through the urban zone. Cut them off. Talon Hawks enemy reinforcements landing at coordinates 779er. Hit them before they can organize. Velkari Pack 2 fall back to position Delta. You've done your job, let Pack 3 take over while you rest. The battle raged for hours. The Drev kept sending more soldiers, kept trying new approaches. But every time they thought they understood the defense, it changed. The defenders moved like water, flowing around problems instead of crashing against them. Then something went wrong. A Drev commander, smarter than the others, studied the battle patterns. He noticed that all the coordination came from the central command center. He sent a special team, quiet, skilled infiltrators, come to attack it directly. The infiltration team bypassed the outer defenses using stolen codes. They moved through maintenance tunnels that shouldn't have been accessible. Someone had given them inside information, or they had done very careful research. They reached the lower levels before anyone realized the danger. Colonel Minji saw them first on the security cameras. Hana, enemy soldiers inside the facility. They're heading toward the command center. No, wait, they're going deeper. They're going for the bunker. Hana's blood turned to ice. The bunker. Where the cubs were. All units, this is Commander Kim. She forced her voice to stay calm. Continue current operations. Colonel Choi has command. I'm dealing with an internal threat. She didn't wait for responses. She grabbed her weapons and ran. The bunker was 3 levels underground. Hana took the stairs 4 at a time. Behind her, she heard Daewin's voice on the communicator. I'm coming too. My cubs are down there. No, Hana said. Your warriors need you in the forest. Keep the pressure on the main force. I'll handle this. She didn't tell him she was terrified. She didn't tell him she might already be too late. The bunker door had been forced open. Hana's heart pounded as she entered, weapon ready. Inside, she saw 5 Drev soldiers. They were different from the regular troops, quieter, more focused, deadlier, and they were surrounding 3 small Velkari cubs. The guard unit that had been protecting the cubs lay unconscious near the wall. The Drev had used stun weapons to avoid raising an alarm. Smart, professional, dangerous. But they hadn't counted on the cubs themselves. Ji-hee, Hyunwoo, and Sora weren't cowering. They were using tactics they had learned from watching Hana train. Ji was making noise and drawing attention, creating a distraction. Hyunwoo was watching the soldiers carefully, looking for weaknesses in their formation. Sora, the smallest, had managed to reach the alarm panel and was desperately trying to activate it with her small paws. "Stop," one of the Drev soldiers said in accented Federation common. "We don't want to hurt the cubs. We just need hostages. Stay back, human." Hana assessed the situation instantly. 5 trained killers, 3 cubs. Unconscious guards. Bad odds, she smiled. The Drev soldier took a step back at that smile. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of an Earth predator who had just decided to stop playing nice. "You made a mistake," Hana said softly. "You threatened children under my protection." What happened next took less than 30 seconds. Hana moved like lightning. She shot the lights out first, plunging the bunker into darkness. The Drev had night vision equipment, but it took a second to activate. That second was all she needed. She knew this bunker perfectly. She had memorized every corner, every obstacle, every possible fighting position. The Drev were in unknown territory. She dropped the first soldier with a strike to the throat. The second got her elbow in his face. The third tried to grab her, but found himself thrown into the fourth. The fifth managed to get a shot off, but Hana was already somewhere else. The cubs helped. They tripped soldiers who got too close. They bit ankles. They made noise that confused the enemy about where everyone was located. When the emergency lights finally came on, all 5 Drev soldiers were unconscious or disabled. Hana stood among them, breathing hard. She had taken a few hits herself, bruised ribs, cut on her arm, bloody nose, but she was standing. The 3 cubs rushed to her. They pressed against her legs, making worried sounds. She knelt down and hugged them. "I'm okay," she whispered. "You did so well. You were so brave." Commander Daewon burst into the bunker with a dozen Velkari warriors. He took in the scene. The unconscious enemies, Hana covered in blood, the cubs safe and sound. "I told you to stay in the forest," Hana said. "I told my warriors to stay," Daewon corrected. "I am pack leader. My cubs needed me." He looked at the defeated soldiers. "But it seems they had you." Admiral Minho Kang's voice suddenly boomed through every speaker in the facility. "This is Admiral Kang of the Earth Fleet. We have arrived early. Drev forces, you are surrounded. Surrender immediately or be destroyed." Through the bunker's small window, Hana could see the sky filling with Federation ships. The Admiral had pushed his fleet to dangerous speeds to arrive early. They hadn't been weeks away after all. He had been racing to get there the whole time. The battle turned instantly. Drev ships tried to escape but found themselves trapped between the planet's defenders and the arriving fleet. Within an hour, it was over. The Drev consortium surrendered. Hana sat on the bunker floor, too tired to stand. The 3 cubs piled onto her lap exactly like they had that first day months ago. She laughed weakly. "We won," she said to no one in particular. "You won," Daewon corrected. "You showed the galaxy what humans can do. What all of us can do when we work together." Above them, the sky cleared of enemy ships. The Battle of Varathis 7 was over, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be quite the same again.